What's going on, everybody? One of the four-letter words in crypto is scam. And there are lots of examples, and some projects are still up in the air as to whether or not they're going to end up being a scam in the future. Only time will tell. But today I wanted to talk about a little bit about scams, how to avoid them, and I want to focus on this maybe in the next videos. Maybe the next few videos I do, I'll talk about some security things with crypto and things like that. So let's get into it. I'm just rambling. In the next few live streams, I think I'll focus on crypto security topics because the cryptocurrency community can only get stronger if it can learn from its past mistakes. So tonight I'm going to talk about a little bit about crypto scams and general scams, or scams in general. So let's get into it. I'm not really going to interact with the chat because I got a lot to cover. So I don't know. Let me see if anybody's in here. Let me just look real quick. What's going on, Bitcoin Jake? What's up, man? Yeah, cloud mining is a scam for sure. All right, I think I actually talk about that in a little bit. So due to the technology in crypto typically being decentralized, if it's truly crypto, this actually offers a really attractive playground for scammers, since many people in the space are anonymous. Or at the very least, it's quite difficult to find out if someone is who they say they are. These are things that are a challenge in the crypto space in general. Cryptocurrencies and associated technologies are complicated and very confusing to new users, and with an almost non-existent regulations. You end up with this perfect target environment for scammers who can't seem to pass up the opportunity to make a quick buck or to take advantage of older people or whatever. There's all kinds of things that go on. So why do people still get scammed? There's two main reasons. One is ignorance and the other is greed. So why do these scams actually exist? And that is also simple. It's because people still fall for them. Why do you think you still get those Nigerian prince emails or the scam alert phone calls? It still happens. I think I had that up here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so the Nigerian prince email scams still rake in over $700,000 a year. And this is something that's been going on for as long as I can remember. So the reason that these things still exist is because it's worth the effort. Scammers are sophisticated and greedy. In the case of Centra here, the scammers were greedy and didn't even have any contacts or experience or knowledge of cryptocurrency. It was just like a complete fraud from the beginning to the end. They just saw an opportunity facing a sea of new money, just itching to get into a hyped up crypto project, and they took advantage of it. Ignorance and greed can describe both the scammer and the victims in this situation. This was a pretty good example. Centra, I think they raised, 32 million. I mean, good grief. I think they did, the founders and stuff did originally get, or actually get arrested, I believe, and I don't know if they're doing time or what the deal is there, but there are a bunch of get-rich-quick schemes that were born in 2017, and people are still suffering from that whole debacle with the ICOs and all that stuff. And more are created all the time, but I do believe that we are getting smarter as a community. I do think that we are getting smarter. So according to the Better Business Bureau, the average crypto scam, a victim loses just over $3,000 USD. So that's a lot. I mean, as an average, right? One of the most common scams is phishing. And typically this is done through an email or text that looks legitimate, telling you your password needs to be changed or some security, it even has some security event has occurred, and to click this link in an email or text or whatever. And that email or text could look like it came from your bank or exchange or even a wallet provider. And I've actually tweeted about this before, because I get, every now and then I'll get an email that I'm like, I probably should, tell people about this. Or so I'll usually take a screenshot and say, look at this email. And I also have customers that send me emails like, hey, is this legitimate, right, from their bank or whatever. And you look at the email address that it's from, and it's like something.cn or, it's like, dude, come on. You know that this is not your email. This is not the email address for your bank, for crying out loud. I mean, look at who it's from. It's like some random string of numbers at some random string of numbers.cn. It's like, dude, come on. Anyway. So, yeah, those things drive me crazy. Anyway, so every now and then I'll tweet about it, and I'll say, don't fall for stuff like this or whatever. So the link normally, if you do click on the link, normally it's going to take you to a website that looks like the official website. And they're getting a lot better with this. Used to, in the old days, you would just end up with, a website that had, misspelled words, and it was pretty obvious that something wasn't right. But these days, they're getting pretty sophisticated, and the websites look identical. The spelling, all that stuff is perfect. And so you have to be really careful. You have to look at the URL. You have to verify that it's got a signature and that it's secure, and all those different things that we've talked about before on the channel. Just keep in mind that they are getting more sophisticated, and it looks really good, the websites that they have now. So it's going to be a fake site. All they're going to be doing is stealing your logon information for the real site, so that they can get into that and steal your funds or your crypto or whatever. So some tips to avoid being phished is to use multi-factor authentication. Always change up and have at least 2 ways, like either through Google Authenticator or some other method. I think people use Authy, I think, too. But basically, you want to have 2 different things. You want to have something and you could also have something you are, like biometrics and things like that. So just have multi-factor authentication set up, 2-factor, that sometimes they'll call it 2FA. Just have multiple requirements for logging into things that you really care about. That's just a simple tip there. Also, don't click on suspicious links and emails. If there's something wrong with your account, they're not going to email you about it. They're going to call you. And then even if they do call you, if you get like a robocall or something where you feel like it's a little fishy, then go ahead and here's like a simple tip. If you have received something that seems not right, that seems possibly malicious, okay, an email, a text, or whatever, just change the method of contact. So don't reply to the email. Don't click on the link in the email. Don't reply to the text message. Don't click on the link in the text message. Just change, like let's say that you have an account with a bank and you receive a text from that bank, or what appears to be that bank, or an email from that bank saying, click on this link, there's been a security event, you need to change your password or update your security information. If that happens, just change the method of contact so that you can verify that it's true. For example, if you get the email, go to the bank in person and say, hey, I received this email, is this legitimate? And whatever the email is about. Or if it's a text, maybe if it's a text, go to the website, depending on what it is, but you just go to the website, verify that you're on the right site. Don't click on the link in the text, but go to the website for your bank. And maybe you can send them a message on there if you don't feel like going to the bank, asking them, about it. So it's just a pretty simple tip, is just to always change the method of contact. Don't use the same method. If you're alerted through the website, give them a call on the phone, right? So just a quick little simple tip there. And you always want to double and triple check the URLs, the uniform resource locators, the web address, to make sure you're visiting the correct website and it's secure. There is an actual vulnerability. I think it's not a vulnerability, but a malicious software that I can't remember the name of it now. I really needed to research this before, but it would essentially make it would make a URL with those little characters above, like the O and the A. Maybe you guys know what that malicious software actually is, but so that it tricks you into thinking that you're going to the correct website, but all that's different, you know, the actual letters are exactly the same, except it has that little mark above the O, or the two dots or whatever above the O or the A. So at a glance, you might overlook it. And I can't remember what that's called, but it's definitely out there, so keep that in mind too. So even though you're looking at the URL and it looks legitimate, someone has registered it with those special characters possibly, and you know, it's not the actual website. It's not the official website. So just keep that in mind. Something else to remember is that no support personnel will ever need your password, your PIN, your seed words, or your private key. They're never going to need that, because that is your personal information. It's just the same thing as providing your PIN to your ATM card to some stranger. It's the same thing. So just keep that in mind. I'll tell a story. I'll be honest here. I'll tell a story. I was called. This happened years ago, but I was called on an office phone, and I was in the middle of a lot of different projects and a lot of different things were going on. I was distracted, but basically, it was from my cell phone provider, or who appeared to be my cell phone provider, and they said, "Hey," I can't remember the exact conversation because I was totally distracted at work. Which is how they get you, right? Because they know, like, hey, I can call, you know, maybe call him at work, and maybe he'll be busy and not, you know, really realize what's going on. Long story short, they got me to give them my, because I had set up on my, and this was before crypto and stuff, I had it set up on my account to have a secret word, right? And that's what they asked for. And I didn't really think at the time. I was like, maybe they would need that for some reason, right? I wasn't giving them anything else. It was just a secret word to make a change to the account, right? That's really all this was, which is important because, you know, long story short, again, they actually ordered a phone and had it shipped to somewhere in Ohio or something. And yeah, it was a big mess. So that was a little bit before I was a little bit more in tune with, you know, scams and getting scammed and stuff. But again, I was distracted at work. Not making an excuse. You always got to keep, you know, be on your toes, because these scammers are pretty sophisticated and smart. So just keep that in mind. So it can happen. So another thing that happens to us on the crypto mining side is you'll see fake wallets from time to time. Some fake or malicious software wallets actually make it into official sources, such as Google Play, like for mobile wallets. Before they're actually discovered. I definitely would not suggest downloading a crypto wallet from any source other than official channels. But even then, you have to be careful, like in the case of Monero. You know, I'll talk about that more in a second here, but the most common way that enthusiasts get taken is through malicious URLs and repositories hosting malicious wallets. In the case of Monero, it was actually their official website that was hacked, and the official command line interface, the silly wallet, was swapped with the malicious one to be downloaded by users. And from the little bit of research I did, I don't think that it was too much of an impact, although there was one person here, actually it says right here, that they claim to have lost 7,000 USD, I would assume. So pretty significant there. But overall, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I think that part of the problem with this was Monero's actual response. I don't think that they ever put anything on their website about it. I don't think that they warned anybody for many hours. And it was basically, I think it was a Reddit post or something that actually discovered or announced it. And the way that they found it was they compared file hashes, which we'll do here in a few minutes. I'm going to do a little exercise, and we're going to compare file hashes of a downloaded wallet, so we can kind of see what the person did that discovered the problem, you know. And to determine if a program is malicious or not, a lot of our antivirus, we see this a lot in the crypto mining community. A lot of the antivirus programs use heuristics, and that's basically like a program behavior. It's not really like what files it contains. It's like, what is this file doing? Which those can result in false positives. If you trust the developers and you verify the hash of the executables and you trust that the developers have not done anything on the back end, or to the code, malicious, then you should feel somewhat comfortable with ignoring those types of warnings. We see that all the time whenever we download a wallet and we try to run it or install it. It'll pop up with the Windows Defender or Smart Screen or whatever, and you have to click, yeah, I trust it, and so on and so forth. There's a couple other steps that you should do before actually just immediately trusting what you're seeing and what you're downloading, and we'll get into that in a few minutes here. Along those same lines, if you're buying a hardware wallet, I would only buy a hardware wallet like a Ledger or Trezor, I think that's how you say it, from the actual source. I would not even buy a Ledger from Walmart. Okay, I would only buy a Ledger from Ledger. Just my opinion. I think that it's a little bit risky to do it any other way. They send it, and I don't know how Walmart does it. They probably don't have them in the store. They probably do it. It's probably through Walmart, and then Ledger actually sends it to me. I don't know how it works. I've just seen advertisements for Ledgers at Walmart. So anyway, I would always encourage you to go to the source to get a hardware wallet. There was something recently that came out. I think I saw it on Twitter where they were selling these hardware wallets for $5 or something like that, but it had like a $30 shipping fee, and I think the normal cost was like $50 or something. I wouldn't do that. Just me, I wouldn't do that. It's just too risky to me. So I would definitely stick with a Ledger or a Trezor. I think those are my two. If you're going to go with a hardware wallet, there's actually other things that are far more secure. There's the one that you have the seed words, the metallic, like a wallet. It's an actual device, and there's no electronics, and it can go through, get fire and flooding and all that stuff. And it basically, you organize your seed words on it, and then you close it up, and it locks it in place. There's one that you actually tap the seed words into a plate, a metal plate. And there's some that have like a ring. It's like, I remember there's one that's like a tube that has numbers and letters on it that you actually letters, because it's got to do with seed words. I can't remember the name of that one either. I'm really bad at remembering like the names of these different things, but so that is really cool. It's like a little tube, and it's got like a little secure top on it, and it's got these cards. I think it calls them cards or something that you organize in your private or your seed words, so that you always have it. Super cool little stuff like that. So those I would definitely trust. Not so much a $5 hardware key. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like looking for the cheapest eye surgeon, right? I mean, why would you do that? If I'm gonna have eye surgery, I want the best, probably the most expensive, right? I don't want someone to shoot a laser into my eye and I'm only paying them $250. That's not smart. So just my opinion. All right. This is not like medical advice or anything like that. So let's check out, let's see this. Let's go and grab a CCX wallet, and we'll verify the hash on it real quick. So I'm going to go to conceal.network and then go to, I guess I'm already on this is the top level, so this is the wallets here. So I'm going to click on desktop, and we'll do a Linux silly wallet. And it's up to 5.43 version. And if you don't see, okay, so what I'm doing right now, okay, so I know that I went to this website from the official. So before, I know you guys can't really see this, but before, let me bring this down here. All right, so I'm looking right here. I see the little lock on the website. that makes me feel a little bit comfortable, right? So you click on the lock. It says the connection is secure. That means you're using HTTPS and it's secure. And then you've got a valid certificate. Okay, so at that point, I'm thinking that the website is good. There's nothing wrong with this. So then I go to the link that is on this website. So now I'm just doubling up. I'm doing my due diligence and I'm saying, okay, I'm not going to go and click on a link that someone sent me in Discord with the link to the wallet. That is not smart because they could be sending you anywhere, right? Malicious wallet. So I click on that. Now I'm going to go up here again, right? I'm going to go up here again and check because now I'm on a different website. Now I'm on GitHub. So is this site secure? Yes. Certificate is valid. Okay, I'm starting to get some confidence here, starting to gain a little bit of confidence in what I'm doing. Scroll down here. I see that this is verified. I'm assuming that that means Conceal Core is verified. I don't know if that means the overall project. But what we can do is we can go back here. Actually, it shows it right there too. So you can see right here, verified. That is just, so these things are kind of like adding together, right? You know, you're doing your due diligence and you're looking at every step and making sure that you're not being redirected to somewhere malicious, you know, somewhere that you think you're going that is actually pointing somewhere else. So all these things just add up. So I see that it's verified here. So I'm going to go back to Conceal Desktop. No, that's not what I wanted. No. Maybe this one. All right, so I'm gonna go back because I don't know where I need to be here. Linux CLI. All right, so this takes me to the release. Okay, so I should have clicked on releases. But anyway, so if you put your mouse over the top level here, you can see verified up here. So that's good. And I suppose that that's what this verified means also. I don't know if it just means this particular, I don't know how to read that. What this, it says the commit signature was valid, verified. Okay. So that just adds to, again, that's just one more step, one more thing that you're adding to your confidence levels in getting the right information here or getting valid software. So now I said I wanted to do the Linux 1604 command line, so I'm going to click on that. It's going to download it, throw it in there, throw it in the downloads folder. Then, so that was 1604 Linux Ubuntu. So that's this one right here. That's what I downloaded. So I can look at that file name and then I go down here and I verify that that is what I downloaded. I can go open in folder here. Let me just clean up this mess a little bit over here. All right, so that's the file name, 1604. 543. All right, cool. I'm just verifying that that's the same. Then I'm also going to grab the actual hash here. I'm just going to copy it. And I'll go over here to, there's this tool called md5now.com. Just going to paste that in there so I have it. Then what we have to do is you have to verify the hash of the file itself. So if you go back to where you downloaded it to, in Windows, this is how you can do it. And if you just click on, so you're in the right location already, and then if you just go PowerShell, it'll start PowerShell in that window, right? Then you would say git dash file hash, and then you got to tell it the name, the file name. And what you can do pretty easy, if you go to the folder, you just click and drag that over here, and then it'll put the It'll put the whole path, so you don't even have to start in the right location. It'll put it in there for you. I think you can just press enter here, and it will show you the hash. So it's a SHA-256 algorithm. So I'm going to copy this, and in this case, because it's PowerShell and you're in this command prompt or command window, you have to press Control-C because it won't let you right-click on it. So I just double-clicked on it, press Control-C to copy. Go back to my little MD5 thing over here, paste that in there, and then I'm going to compare. All right, so it compared these two numbers. You could do this manually too. You could just paste them into Notepad or Word or whatever and just look at them, you know, one by one. But this website is kind of cool, you know, it just lets you compare the two. So this is legit, as far as I can tell. So it hasn't been changed. So this is what happened to the Monero website. The actual file was changed, but the hash wasn't. So so what they provided to the people downloading the actual software, the actual miner or the wallet, had a different hash than what the file was, right? So what was being displayed, you know, see how they're telling you right here that this is what the hash should be. This was not changed on the website. So whenever someone took the file and they just ran that check like we just did, it didn't match. So that's what alerted them to, like, hey, I think something's going on here. So, you know, not to give any tips to hackers or malicious people, but, you know, if think of the damage that they could have done had they went ahead and changed that on the website too, to match the hash of the downloaded file. See, so like that would be pretty devastating, right? And it could happen, you know, if let's say that this was hacked, right? It's not, but let's just say this was hacked and this file right here was changed to a malicious version, but they also changed the hash to match that malicious version, then it would be hard to catch that, right? Then you would have to get into PGP signatures of the file and get the developers to actually look at it, and it would probably be a while before it would be caught, okay? Depending on the project and the size of the project, you know, and how popular it is. So, because trusting the hash of the file is actually also trusting the developers and the website and all those things that we just went through, all those different steps. So yeah, cool stuff. Let me check the chat real quick, see if you guys are still in here. What's going on, everybody? What's up, Red Panda and Bitcoin Jake? Ronus, what's up, man? YouTube watcher, what's going on? All right, so let me get back to it. So don't just randomly pick a wallet from an app store. You know, I would be a little bit more cautious and do your due diligence. Only download the apps and software from legitimate sources. The cooler the wallet app looks and the more pressure you feel to download it and install it, like that FOMO kicking in, the more suspicious I would be. Like if you're looking at something and you feel compelled to download it and install it because it's the greatest thing ever, then some warning bells and alarms should be going off in your head. Like, okay, let me take a step back and think about this. You know, do you really need that wallet? What does it actually provide, right? I'll give you a good example. You guys probably have heard of the twins. They do videos on YouTube, workout videos, and they actually at one point they were doing crypto last year. It was Crypto Twins, and they actually fell for this. They fell for, one of them did, Keith or Kevin, one of them. Anyway, one of them fell for a wallet that they saw in the Google Play Store or iPhone App Store, and they thought it was the coolest thing ever. They downloaded it. I forget what crypto it was for. I want to say it was something like XRP or something. I don't know. So they downloaded the wallet, and whatever they put in there, they lost it. And I guess that they did some research and they actually found the person or found out where they were. I think they were in Russia or something. So yeah, so it can happen. You know, whenever you feel that little bit of FOMO, or you know, like, man, this is a cool wallet. Another example is Zelcore, Crypto Z. Crypto Z is like a little skittish on the whole Zelcore wallet because it only requires the username and password, and you really don't ever see your keys and stuff like that. But it's all, trust me, Zelcore is like a really secure wallet if you get into it. The thing about Zelcore is that your username and your password to the wallet should be protected almost the same. So I've actually messed up on this show whenever I was doing Zelcore wallet, video, whenever I was covering it, where I showed what my username was. And that's half of the solution to lose my crypto, right? Now I've changed it since then, but just keep that in mind. So even though you kind of get into this mode of, well, username isn't really that secure and people can usually guess your username. So on the Zelcore wallet, you want your username to be complex and your password, because what happens is it's hashed, it's salted, and then so that there's like numbers and I don't know if it's completely random characters or how it works, but there's stuff added to both sides, and then that's hashed, and then that becomes your private key for all the crypto that you have in that wallet. So it's super cool, makes things really easy, but you need to protect your username and password almost the same. So if you're using Zelcore, keep that in mind. And if it's compromised in some way, you need to create another Zelcore account and get all your crypto over to that new one, the new secure one. All right. I kind of went on a little rant there. So yeah, just to be safe, again, the cooler the wallet app looks, the more compelled, the more suspicious you should be. Go from the project's website, use their links to get to the actual wallet, and verify those links and verify the hash if they provide it. If you're in an environment or if you're in a wallet that doesn't provide hash for you to verify it, then that would be a red flag for me. I would say, okay, they don't really care about whether or not people verify the file or not. I would find that a little bit odd, because it's something that's really common. And a good developer or a good team would do that for pretty much anybody. Or for a legitimate project, you're going to see that. You're going to see the file hashes. I mean, listen, sometimes they'll forget, or maybe it's hidden somewhere. But for the most part, if it's a legitimate project, they're going to give you that information. And again, you got to go all the way back through the steps and verify that everything is legit all the way through, every click, every link that you go to, all that stuff. You have to just keep verifying over and over and over. And there's not really like a single due diligence check that we've talked about, like by itself, that would say, okay, this is all good. It's not just one thing that should make you feel 100% comfortable. But each one that you go through and verify, like I was saying earlier, it's like layers. If you verify the website URL and it's secure, and you even go as far as to like do a whois on the website to make sure that the owners are the right owners of the website. And there's a few other steps I didn't even go through that you could take a few extra steps. But there's not just one thing that says that it's all good. So it's layers. You click on the link, it's good. Are the URLs good? Okay, good. HTTPS, secure, good. Click on the link. Where does it take me? Does it take me to another website that, is that website secured? Does the URL make sense? Is the project name sense? Like if you go to GitHub, they could, because the name of the project might not even match the actual project, and you see this a lot. It might be the developer's name, it'll be github.com/the developer's name, but the project might be something else, right? It'll have a totally different name. So you have to be really careful. I think there was a case in Ravencoin where there was the Ravencoin, instead of Ravencoin, it was Ravencoin with a 0 for the O, I think. There was some small change that looked okay whenever you first took a glance at it, but it was not the legitimate website. So just the legitimate GitHub. So keep all that stuff in mind. I mean, you got to be on your toes with all this stuff. But if you aggregate all that information along the way, then you should feel pretty comfortable that you're doing the right thing and that you're not going to get malicious software on your computer. So you want to check the URL, secure connection, is there a lock, is the file hash good, if you're downloading a wallet or a miner. This actually applies to miners too. If you're on GitHub and you go to grab a miner, they're probably going to have a hash available on there, and you want to go through the same steps because you're running software on your computer. And not only that, but like I said at the top, a lot of these are based on heuristics. Your AV, that Defender smart screen and all that stuff is how the program acts, how it behaves. It's not that the program file itself is malicious or that spikes that. So what I'm saying is that you expect to see it, and then you become complacent in clicking that little more info and run anyway and all that stuff. But don't do that. Slow down. Think about what you're doing. Make sure that you have done your due diligence and your checks to make sure that it's a valid file. So check like the grammar of the website if you're downloading it from some random place, which don't do that. Are there links to what you're on other legitimate websites? So has someone provided the link to you that you trust? Whatever, there's all these different things that you can go through, and like I said, it's all layers, and the more layers you have, the better you should feel about what you're doing. All right, so even though wallets are one of the most dangerous for us miners, the most common crypto scam is a fake or fraudulent initial coin offering, or ICO, like Centra. We kind of touched on this earlier. Although ICOs really aren't that popular anymore, we don't hear a lot about them. We hear about the ones that have survived, but we don't really hear about new ones. They've kind of been overtaken by security token offerings, or STOs, and initial exchange offerings, or IEOs. Some other things to look for in a project, if you are looking into a project and investing or mining or whatever, are the white paper or originality. You want to know, has it been plagiarized? Also, there's, do they have anonymous team members? Does the project have a utility or a use case? Is it time dependent, meaning like, that you're feeling pressure to invest right now or to start mining it right now? Then those are red flags as well. And like, let's say that they're doing an interview and they're not answering any of the hard questions, or they don't have a legitimate roadmap, right? You can't tell what this project is about. So these are mainly, that has to do with the ICO craze of 2017, but it can apply to the IEOs and the STOs today. So just keep that in mind. You want to always do your due diligence. I do have to note, though, that most privacy coin projects like Conceal or Rio, actually they don't, but some privacy coin projects do have anonymous team members, and that's pretty normal for a privacy coin. You see that a lot, especially in the smaller projects, but I think that you see a lot less of it these days, and even the ones that originally were anonymous in those projects are kind of coming out a little bit. They're just coming forward a little bit, maybe throwing a picture up there and maybe a brief little bio or whatever. So just, you can kind of see how things are progressing down that road of not being, because it's a legitimacy thing, right? I mean, if all the developers are anonymous, they could just disappear with no one knowing, right? So if you at least have some information on them, that gives a little bit of credibility, right? I think that some projects have realized that that's a benefit to showing some type of identity. And with the new hotness is decentralized finance projects, but with government regulations bearing down on us, there's a good chance DeFi projects will play by a much stricter rule set. that probably is going to frown heavily on scamming projects, and legitimate ones will dominate the future. There's a lot of really cool projects out there that are DeFi related. So I think that hopefully they will succeed. So another one of the real common things is shady exchanges, right? We see this quite a lot. You had Quadriga CX, you had what was this one here is 01 Crypto. This was over in France, I think. But there's a ton of them. If you just do a Google search for fraudulent exchange or something like that, you'll get a huge list. I think that over here I've got like a list of exchanges here by I think this is by volume. Yeah, top 100 by volume. So what I would recommend is probably sticking in the top 10. There might be some down here that are probably legitimate too. I see a few just off the top of my head, but I would definitely encourage you, if you are going to interact with an exchange, that it's one of the top 10. Although this list, because it's based on volume, might not be a great list, because there's also like wash trading and stuff like that goes on. They can really crank up the volume on a illegitimate exchange, right? So I would if I was going to interact with an exchange, I would definitely do a lot of homework on it and make sure, I would get on Twitter and look up complaints or anything, Google searches and find out if anyone has had a problem with them. You've got several that are pretty high profile. You got Binance and Coinbase. Coin Mama, I guess, is another pretty legitimate one. It doesn't even fall in the top 10 here. I hear a lot about BITC. See that one a lot. BITC, see that one a lot. Coin Beanie, I seem to see that one a lot too. Bitforex. Yeah, so you got Kraken and Gemini also that are probably pretty legitimate. So another thing that you have to watch out for are Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes, right? So, and Andreas Antonopoulos, I think he tweeted out, like, this was something, I want to say it was at the end of 2017, I think, is whenever he tweeted this out. But he said, does it promise regular returns that exceed average market returns? If it does, then it's a Ponzi scheme. Does it focus more on recruiting new people than any product? Right? Those are two really significant key indicators of something's not right. And if that's the case, recruiting new people, then it's probably a pyramid scheme, right? If your income depends on how many other people you get involved in it, then it's probably a pyramid. So don't invest in any cryptocurrency projects that only encourage you to recruit new investors to enjoy bigger profits, but never deliver any type of a product. And one of the things that's really easy to remember, but people still fall for it and don't remember this, but if it is too good to be true, it is. That is pretty accurate way to look at it. If you feel, what I do is, if I hear something or, hear about something and I feel compelled in some way to invest or to, whatever the thing is, like, hey, if I feel compelled in any way to do something that I normally wouldn't do, just hearing the word, then I stop and I think, I'm like, okay, why, I get in tune with my feelings and I'm like, okay, why am I feeling like I have to do this? Right? And then that kind of prompts you to look into it further, or it should, but again, it goes back to that whole greed and ignorance thing where, some people are just straight up greedy. They're like, oh man, if I can get into this and I can get 5 other people into it, then I can make this much money, and it doesn't really matter what happens to those 5 people, right? So sometimes that happens. Anyway, So there's also pump and dump groups. You see this from time to time. It happens mostly with really small projects, you know, really low market cap, where the volume or the actual value can be changed quickly by small amounts, right, of purchasing, like market buys. And then, so what happens is you've got like a group, and some of these groups have thousands of people, like Telegram and Twitter and stuff. And so you have the group of people, let's say it's 1,000, right? And they can literally just go, okay, we're gonna pump at Project X. Okay, so they are all aware of it. That whole group knows what they're doing. And they know when it's gonna start and when it's gonna end. And those are two very critical pieces of information that the general public doesn't have, right? If you're not in that group, then you wouldn't know that. So what happens? So they start market buying, right? Driving the price up of whatever the project is. Again, they know when they're going to stop, right? And when they're going to start selling instead of buying. And so the price goes up, and then that time frame hits, and then they start selling. But during that time, all these other investors are getting in. They're like, oh, look at this is pumping. And not only, I mean, there's all kinds of other things that they can do. They can do a social campaign in the pump and dump group, social campaign. They'll, you know, contact their close contacts in whatever, you know, different groups and say, hey, you know, this project, or even false news, like they'll put out fake news about the project having some partnership or whatever. There's all kinds of different things that they can do to bring awareness to the project and get investors to start putting their money in there and buying. And then it goes, and you see this in the chart, it just goes like that, straight up, and then wham, you know, straight down. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you see like, you know, low, especially if it's like not a whole lot of volume. But yeah, charts that are like flat and then they go straight up like that and then across and then down, not good. And you know, if you're not in that group, then you're going to get taken. That's exactly what's going to happen, because you're not going to know when the selling is going to start. So just something to keep in mind. Something else that happens occasionally is impersonations. So you have, you know, even like crypto influencers, so to speak, in the YouTube environment or Twitter environment, they'll pretend to be, you know, one of the more popular YouTubers or Twitterers, I don't know, Twitter accounts, Twitter handles, and they'll trick people to sending them crypto, or trick people to, mostly that's what it is, you know, get them to send you crypto. They'll pretend to be founders. They'll all kinds of different things that they'll do. And you see this a little bit in Discord. You know, you'll see people getting banned for impersonating people in Discord, and stuff like that happens all the time. Just keep in mind, again, you can apply that same thing that I talked about earlier. If you're contacted by, let's say, a crypto YouTuber, popular, emails you, or a person impersonating that popular YouTuber emails you and says, hey, I've got this insight into this project. You know, they only accept ETH. If you give me, you know, 2 ETH, then, you know, I'll give you 5 back, or whatever, you know, once the project launches, whatever the situation is. Well, if you get something like that, or if you're, maybe even if you're contacted in Discord or through Twitter or whatever, and you think, again, this goes back to all those feelings, right? So like you get this thing, you're like, oh man, I'm on the inside, right? So this is cool. I'm gonna send them 2 ETH, you know? You know, so if you think that, then you should change the method of contact. So go to that person's YouTube channel, look at their email address on there, or comment on one of their videos that you know is from them, obviously, right? And those are the ways that you can avoid those types of problems, right? I can tell you a story. So I'll tell you another story. You guys know that Cobus, the drummer, the YouTube drummer, he's the one that did my intro music and stuff, right? Well, whenever I was first contacting him to do, because here's the way this worked. I think that a few years back, he had mentioned that he could do stuff like that. Like if you had a project that you wanted him to look at or whatever, to contact him at this email address. And I went back through his Twitter. I think it was in his Twitter, or maybe it was on his one of those old videos, and found his email address, and I emailed him asking him about doing this little intro thing. And but the email address was a little odd. I thought it was a little strange, but the way that he talked, like back in the email, it made me feel pretty comfortable that it was him. So we negotiated the whole price and everything. Then he sent me his PayPal information. Well, on his PayPal account, it said not Cobus. It said not Cobus at gmail.com or whatever it was. I was like, man, that is so strange. So then I contacted him through Facebook Messenger again, back whenever I was on Messenger. And I said, hey, I think someone might be impersonating you. I gave him the whole thing. And then that account replied back to me, and they were like, no, it's me. I just haven't got to it yet or whatever, right? Because the whole situation was he was supposed to deliver it on like a Friday, and it was like 2 weeks past or whatever, and I was getting a little bit worried. I'm like, what's going on here? And I think another week went by, and he's busy. I get it. And for what I was getting him to do, it's kind of like small stuff for him, right? Doing a little 5-second video. He thought it was interesting though, which was kind of cool. He was like, yeah, I've never even tried to write like a 5-second drum solo, kind of thing. So anyway, so back and forth we went, email and all this stuff. Anyway, so I sent him the money in the PayPal eventually, and then like he went past the deadline and all this stuff, right? And so I contacted him again in Messenger, and he actually sent me a video, and it was him. He was like, hey man, I'm not scamming you, bro, right? And it was the coolest thing. I still have it. I probably should play it for you guys if I could do that somehow, but it was the coolest thing, for him to do that, and I thought that was pretty neat. So I was like, okay, all right, cool, because he's a super cool guy. And if you don't know who I'm talking about or what I'm talking about, let me bring up his channel here real quick. So this is the guy. He's a popular YouTube drummer. Anyway, so yeah, it was really cool. He's he's totally a rad dude, and it was kind of funny that he sent me a video. I was like, nah, dude, I'm not scamming you, man. Just give me a little bit of time or whatever. All right, so anyway, there's my little story on that. So let's see. Yeah, so always change the method of contact. So you saw what I did in the Cobus situation. I contacted him through email first, and then I changed it to Messenger. So I contacted him through various methods, that were available on his, social media accounts. Like I think he's got an email. Yeah, see it right here, a view email address, right? And it wants you to, because he probably gets spammed a lot. I'm not a robot, so I'm not going to go through all that. But anyway, so I contacted him through this initially, or from another website, or from his website. I don't remember. It looks like he's cleaned this up a little bit. So anyway, yeah, so I changed the method of contact, and then I was able to somehow get him to send me a video chat of him saying that he's not scamming me. So kind of cool. But getting scammed can definitely have it can be debilitating and lead to poor choices, poor health, and depression. Scams are one of the only crimes that doesn't discriminate. Scams target everyone, young, old, white, black, rich, poor, doesn't matter. So how do you protect yourself from scams? First off, you've got to acknowledge that they exist, right? So you want to be aware that they exist. And if it looks too good to be true, it probably is, right? We covered that a lot. You also want to know who you're dealing with, even though sometimes you can't verify because they're anonymous. But you want to do an investigation to figure out, if you trust them. Use your best judgment there. Do not open links in suspicious text, emails, attachments, pop-up windows. Just delete them. Don't respond to phone calls about your computer asking for remote access. I've actually had customers that have called a support desk, or what they said was a support desk. They called them. The person answering the phone that barely spoke English said, yeah, go to this website, run this utility so that I can get into your computer remotely. And that's the type of thing that happens, right? So just keep that in mind. Keep all your personal details secure. Do not do anything important on any public Wi-Fi. That's another thing that is pretty big, is going to Starbucks and hopping on the public Wi-Fi and going to your bank account or whatever. Don't do that. That's not smart. Also, you want to choose secure passwords. Very secure passwords. And in the case of the Zelcore wallet, you want to make sure that your username and your password are both very secure. Review all your online social media privacy. From time to time they'll change things in there, and it seems like I remember there being an issue one time with Facebook years and years ago where they changed some privacy settings, and it basically wiped out or reset the settings that you had in there previously. So without any warning, they basically opened it up. I think that happened. I'm almost positive, but I could be recalling wrong. Maybe that was another social media platform, but it seems like it was Facebook that did that. Also, be really aware of any request for financial data. Financial details. That's something that you should keep private. Beware of unusual payment requests and methods, right? So send crypto to pay for your whatever you're buying, right? If you haven't verified the website and you don't know for sure, but they just want you to send crypto, be vigilant in those types of things. You always want to verify the file hashes and verify all the sources of any files that you download, whether it's miners, wallets, whatever. Always, take care and do the file hash compare and all that like we did earlier. Now I'll get into the chat and see what you guys are talking about over here. What's up, Josh? Oh, we want to talk about Hex? Yeah, I didn't really get into lending schemes. I'm trying to focus a little bit more on crypto related type stuff. I didn't want to, because honestly, doing a little bit of research for this and finding some websites to put up and stuff, it's like a rabbit hole. Stay on crypto related type stuff. But yeah, lending schemes are absolutely the worst. You got that right. There's also credit repair schemes. There's, again, anything that's out there, if you feel compelled to do it, and someone, it's almost like someone's selling you something. So just take a step back and think about it. And another thing I do, let's say I went to buy some furniture or something, right? And there's a sale going on, and I'm not 100% sure I want to buy the whatever the piece of furniture is, right? But what I always keep in mind is that if the price is good today, it's good tomorrow. So if something is on sale, they're going to try to get you to buy it that day. But if you work it right, you can get that same price tomorrow, right? If you just do a little bit of work. Because if it's good today, it's good tomorrow too. It's not like you're going to walk in there the next day after sale ends and go, I would buy this if it was on the sale price. And typically, unless they're really, really hurting for money, they are going to sell you that chair or whatever it is for the sale price, because they don't want you to leave the store. They would rather sell it than not sell it, right? Does that make sense? So you got to remember what you have and what your capabilities are in these negotiations and discussions. I'm just going to go off on a tangent and talk about all kinds of stuff, but I don't really want to do that. My thoughts on Hex. Well, I've talked about Richard Hart before. I like the guy. I actually believe and agree, not believe, that's totally the wrong word. I agree with a lot of things that he says. Hex, in my opinion, the jury's still out on it. And the only reason I say that is because of the adoption amplifier portion of it. I have not got it into my head yet about the ETH being sent to the adoption amplifier, the AA lobby, he calls it. And then that ETH that's in that address just disappears at the end of the day. And then it refills, or it can fill up if people send ETH to it the next day. See, the way it works is there's two buckets. This is the way he describes it. And that's the part I just don't know. It seems kind of odd to me. I haven't, maybe there's an explanation for it that's not scammy, but that is the one part of the whole thing. All the other stuff, all the math, all the pumpamentals and all that stuff that he talks about, fine. All that stuff probably works. It's all really great. But that adoption amplifier and sending ETH to that address, and I don't know. So, well, Dan the Dane, we've been talking about all kinds of different scams. You'll have to watch. It's been fun. Yeah, and that's another thing about Hex is it's really complicated. But if you go to the website, you can kind of get a handle on it. And I've been following it. Now, I'm not in the groups and the Telegram groups and all that stuff. I'm not into it that much. But I did try to understand what it was, you know. And yeah, I don't know. That whole ETH adoption amplifier bucket thing, that's the one that throws me for a loop. That I just, again, maybe there's an explanation. I think he's made comments as though no one knows where it goes. I don't know. I haven't looked that much into it, right? So, anyway, I don't know. There's no telling. At this point, I don't know. I tried to claim, and it didn't work. I didn't send anything to the adoption amplifier, though. So I could not get it to work. Yeah, and that's the thing about Hex, you know, him promoting it as not a scam, and okay, that's fine. But I probably should do a little bit more homework on it, because I really want to learn what that adoption amplifier is all about. You know, where does that ETH go? That's the one question I have. Again, all the other math, whatever, it works, right? You can do the math, it all works out. But that one ETH address that you're supposed to send ETH to, and apparently there were over 21,000 ETH were sent there in the first day. That was like 3.2 million or something like that. Where is it? Don't know. Yeah, so if you look at the adoption amplifier, that's the one part of it that, but you don't have to. Here's the thing, though. I think that this is the way he combats that. He says you don't have to use it. It's just a feature of the crypto. Got it. Totally got it. You know, you can just claim from your BTC address. It's got to be a 1, a BC1, or a 3, I think. It's got to start with those. And then you can claim free Hex. And I mean, that part of it, okay, fine, it's free. You know, why not? It's almost like an airdrop, kind of, you know. So it's not an airdrop, but you get my point. It is free. So you can't really complain about that. And the adoption amplifier is optional. You don't have to do that part. So maybe that's how it all works, you know. I mean, I think that the way the adoption amplifier works whatever percentage of ETH you send to the ETH address, that percentage, the first day there was 1 billion hex in the hex bucket, and whatever goes into the ETH bucket, whatever percent, like let's say there's 10 ETH in there, and you sent 1, then you get 10%. Then you get 10% of the 1 billion hex. Does that make sense? And then at the end of the day, those dump out and start over. So again, you don't have to use that feature, but it is a feature. And that's the one thing that it's just kind of, that's the one part of it that I don't know about. I don't know that much about it. So, but anyway, so yeah, this stream is totally gone off the rails here. Talk about hex. All right. So if there are no questions, I'm going to end the stream here. I think I've been going for, wow, 1 hour and 6 minutes. Man, y'all got me. Y'all got me good. I didn't want to go that long. So, if you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, please be sure to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. And let's go ahead and keep the conversation going in the comments below. Let's talk about Hex. We can talk about Hex. We can maybe look into it a little bit more. Let's talk about other scam situations, not Hex. Yeah, and like give me an example of if you've ever been scammed before. You know, it's one of those things that's kind of embarrassing, but it also helps other people if you are able to talk about it, right? And that's what I did earlier, even though it's embarrassing to talk about it. But it did happen, so. So what do you think of the different scams that affect crypto enthusiasts and investors? And also let me know how you protect yourself. So yeah, do all that down in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. I will see you guys next time. I'll probably be live again tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday. And definitely on Friday. So yeah, I think that's it. Stay savage, everybody.